My name is Pedro Carrillo. I was born in Carlsbad, California, July the 11th, 1926. January 18th, 1944. When I first went in, I was 17 years old. My dad had a sign. I took my training there. From there, I went to amphibious base in Coronado. From there, I went to Oceanside. I still remember my man in charge in the Navy, Chief Warrant Officer Miller. His assistant was Boatswain's Mate Second Class Baldwin. And the first time I heard my chief say a bad word, it kind of surprised me because I wasn't brought up that way. In fact, he had me go to the grinder, which is the parade field, duck walking, and I didn't care because if I'm there, he has to be with me. With that in my mind, I could have done that all day long. My first day, or my first night, I'm laying in bed, and I see the lights out, which is San Diego. I said to myself, what are you doing in this place? So with that in mind, I just the way it was. The reason I volunteered because most of my friends turned 18 way before I did, and they were drafted. So that's the reason I talked my dad into signing for me. Of course, my mother got teed off, and I don't blame her in a way, but I remember laying in bed, no hair, both arms sore of them shots, and I said, well, you asked for it, and that's the way it was. Couldn't complain. In my case, in our company 4444, before we even went to the BX, we had the 7th floor, the 12th general orders. Then you could go. Other than that, you stayed in the barracks. I took basic training. It took me 8 weeks. We learned a whole lot. In fact, I remember going to the rifle range, the 03. Here I am at the rifle range at 113 pounds with an 03, and I came out there with a big mouth because the thing was almost heavy as I was. But that's part of the deal that I signed for. After basic training, they sent us to a building in San Diego. They called it now the Fort Building. You go in there and wait for an assignment, and then I was assigned to amphibious training, which took place where the SEALs train now in Coronado, California. From there, I was shipped to Oceanside, where I continued on the amphibious tank, as you were, boats. 3-man crew, 4-man crew, and that was it. And then finally got orders to go overseas. Went to Frisco. There was a racetrack just south of Frisco, and we lived under the stadium just for a little while. Then we went back there. Well, in my case, I was an apprentice seaman. That's as low as you can get. I was just a crew member on the Higgins boats. We left on the USS Highland. Went to Pearl Harbor. It just so happened that we had to go around the bay there for a while because we got there after a certain hour when they put the net to keep subs from entering the harbor. And then next day we got in there. I went to a place called Barber's Point. We stayed in Quonset huts. And but we went overseas. We went on a transport ran by the Army, operated by the Merchant Marines, and had one crew of Navy gunners with a 5-inch, and that's all we had. And kept on going. When we got there, got on a smaller boat, and then you get divided to go to Higgins boats, and then you're assigned to go to different ships and get the infantry. But in our case, we went the second day. I was a crew member of the Higgins boats, and there was 3 of us. There was a coxswain, the motormac, and the deckhand. That was me. Other than that, that was it. And then, of course, if you went to a larger boat, be an LCM, which had 220s in it, the Higgins boats didn't have room for heavy weapons. And then on a landing, we had the same uniform as the Marines, except that they had an M1 and we had a carbine. Had a full load of stuff to include our K rations, which you don't see them anymore. Take care of the ramp. Make sure it's locked in place, because you don't want to go and drop the thing open, drop all your troops. We went in on the second day in Red Beach.
And now D-Day. Off Iwo Jima, a vast 800-ship fleet under the command of Vice Admiral Richmond Kelly Turner has brought to the scene of action an estimated 40,000 Marines. With all their weapons, vehicles, tanks, big guns, ammunition, food, water, replacement and medical supplies of 100,000 kinds. Our planes lay smoke screens, and the moment of assault draws near. In circles of 10 and more, landing barges and amphibious craft rendezvous offshore, preparing for the drive to the beaches. Under cover of a savage barrage from warships and rocket-firing craft, the invasion of Iwo Jima begins. The 5th Marine Division, under Major General Keller E. Rocky, takes the northern sector of the shore. Major General Clifton B. Cates' 4th Marine Division takes the southern sector, including Mount Suribachi. On D-Day and H-hour, 0900 Tokyo time, February 19th, the assault waves hit simultaneously on the dot. From now on, it's up to the Marines.
We got a promotion, what they call a blanket promotion. After the landing, our group got one promotion, which gave me a right arm rank. There were only 7 right arm ranks in the Navy then, and boatswain's mate was top dog. But we didn't get too much rain then, but they say that it rained 60 inches a year. In fact, we took showers when it was raining after it got organized, because they didn't have no fresh water. We started an outfit that has those, I forget what you call them, anyway, big fresh water out of salt water. And the only people that could use that would be the cooks and drinking water. But like I said before, when it rained hard, a free shower. I operated a D7 International tractor. In fact, when I left there was a little pond where we had our unit. It said, get rid of that thing. So I just, okay. started up, pulled the thing, and I jumped off and let it go. They said it was cheaper to get rid of stuff than to bring it home. In fact, the Caterpillar, I had one of those things you drag. I had to learn that, and I go like this and like this, made a big hole. You have brand new evaporators that mix salt water, just throw them in there. I have a picture of the two cemeteries. How I got them, I don't know, because nobody had cameras then. One for the 5th and one for the 3rd and the 4th. The one for the 5th was just north of Suribachi, and the one for the 3rd and 4th was north on that one side of the beach. And then when we left, there was 3 of us. It says, "Here's your orders. You're going home." How? There's the airfield. So we had to go up there. We had souvenir stuff. We had to get rid of all that stuff. We finally got a ride. A plane was coming from China, a marine plane, China to Honolulu. We got a ride on it. We took off, came right back for emergency landing. I said, damn. So then they fixed whatever it was, took off again, wound up in Kwajalein. They fixed what the problem was. So then it started again. They went to Wake Island, Johnston Island. Oh my God. We finally got to Honolulu, all ragged. The SPs got a hold of us. Says, "Where y'all going?" So we're trying to get a ride. So they took us to a naval base there, I guess, in Honolulu, and got home, and then I went home on leave, and then I reported to San Diego for an assignment. And the man asked, well, I met the guy that I knew in Iwo Jima. He was a clerk or something. He said, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "I live here." So he sent me to this ream field. I got a picture there. And they gave me a job to drive a darn gas truck. It was an auxiliary air station. And they didn't like what I was doing because I was going too fast and too close to the planes. So then they put me in charge of a barrack, which was a school for the Navy and Marines, in the FA-2PAC, Fleet Airborne Electronics Training Unit Pacific. And then this picture that I got there shows myself and good-looking guys dressed in blue. And then I went to the Naval Training Center in San Diego for my discharge the day I was 21, because that was it. I still have my travel pay. You know, when you get discharged, you go from your station to your home. I got me a damn streetcar token right here in my pocket. And I got me my ruptured duck right here. That is worth $30 now. The reason I got out of the Navy and I stayed out, because after the landing, or after it was over with in September of 45, being that I was a regular Navy, they sent all of your reservists, National Guard, V6s, V12s, back to the States, and we more or less like CBs. In fact, I stayed there for 16 months and leave there to the following June of 46. I mean, there was nothing there. That's the reason I got out. The Navy I didn't miss. Okay. I hate to see it. But because, in my case, I got hung up being regular Navy. And 16 months at Iwo Jima, I mean, there's nothing there. August of 48, I took a week refresher at Fort Ord, California. From there, they shipped us out to Camp Cook, which was closed, but they were going to open Camp Cook again. And then it was a 6103rd MP detachment. So then they changed their mind. The reason we were there to learn the area, the streets, whatever. Then they changed their mind, so then we all scattered throughout the country. And I wound up going down to Lompoc, have a disciplinary barracks there. And I was a prison guard. From there, I went to Seattle area on this new unit of amphibious tanks. And I was there in May of 50. And then went to a big maneuver in Honolulu in October of 50. And then we came back home, went to another maneuver in Puerto Rico, and then I took a leave May of 50, and I didn't come back home again till June of 53. In August, we got alerted to go overseas. And we left there, went to Japan, to Camp McGill, which was port for the first Cav, which I had moved out to Philippines. We took a little training there, and then we loaded up on the LSTs, 5 tanks in each, and went to Kobe, Japan, met with the Marines there, and we took off to Korea. And that's when MacArthur took a chance due to the fact of the tide at Inchon. And that's, I believe that's the only landing that took place in the afternoon. And we went in as to help the Marines. And then they called us back when we crossed the Han River, got as far as Seoul. Then they kicked us out of there. We started going back to north. And those tanks aren't made for that. They're made for one landing if possible. But we wound up at northeast Hanham. And from there I was evacuated because I got a case of hepatitis due to drinking water, bad water, I guess. And I wound up at, oh my God, forget the hospital, 35th Station Hospital. And I'm going to tell you something, when I was there, Joe DiMaggio and Nephew O'Toole were on a tour. And there were 9 men in our ward, and they could only take 4. So we had to cut cards. She could be the 4th one. And I was lucky enough to get one, so they took me in a wheelchair down to the auditorium. And he signed my baseball. And I kept it for a few days. And then I sold it for $5 because I needed some beer money. And now I understand it costs way up in the thousands of dollars. Didn't know any better. Then I was young, didn't care, I wasn't married. Just, you gonna live today, maybe tomorrow? Yeah. The landing that I was in the Korean conflict, we were the assault wave with amphibious tanks, the A5 with the 75 millimeter in front of the Marines at Inchon. LVT A5 with the grousers. That's what we had. 15 in the whole army. They had, like I said before, they had 15 tanks. And we had to go to the south end of the city, or Inchon, because the rest of the Marines, they took boats in there with ladders and tried to climb up a wall, whatever. And we made it, went to Kimpo Air Base, and then from there they called us again, like I said before. They needed some help to go to across the Han River. We worked with the 7th Infantry Division, the 187th Airborne. In fact, the Airborne unit and our company received the arrowhead due to they made a jump, and it was in front of the infantry. After the landing, like the amphibious tanks, the kind we had, it's an A5, you could set up for like artillery or straight ahead. And once you land in there, you set up for artillery and fire in front of the infantry. So after that was done, this went by the airfield, took a little break, and they called us to help the Marines at the Han River. I was in an infantry unit because I was in recon, attached to the 3rd Cavalry up in Fulda Gap. And then they changed from recon to scouts, Grafenville, Vilsec. Those are the 8th Infantry Division at Baumholder. And before that, I was with the Friedberg with the 4th Infantry Division, 40th Tank Battalion. So I've been around. When I went to Fort Hood, they didn't have any room for NCOs. So I had to go look for a place. I went to Copper's Cove, and I found a place. And of course, at that time, their allowance was $77.10. Where are you going to buy or rent a house for $77.10? And I had 2 kids then, and but it's crazy. I had no problem when I got discharged the first time, and I was out a few months, couldn't find a good job, and I decided to join the Army. In fact, when I retired from the Army, I retired November the 1st of '66, and I went to work the following afternoon because I had 3 kids, and what I was drawing for retirement wasn't near enough to support my family. So when I got out, I went to work at GE, and they asked me what branch of service I retired from. I said, the Navy. So the man said, here's a broom. So it was my first job at General Electric. And I just did what they told me because I was brought up that way. And then later on in the years, as I had platoon sergeant, I treated my men as men, not as kids. And that's the way they learned the hard way. After I retired from Fort Knox, I went back every Saturday morning. I don't know why, but I just couldn't get rid of it. My last 4 years at Knox, I was given training, advanced armor training in armor, and my people that I was training, I would ask, if you're not sure what took place 2 weeks ago, you call me at my quarters. And they did. I go back in there, go to the motor pool, get on the tank, and I ask, what do you want to know? Hands on. And I missed it. I'm proud of what I did. Still am. I've been retired 53 years. I live a happy life. And for now, I still do my yard work. I do woodwork. I like to stay active. Hope to live another 30 years, hopefully. I'm really proud to serve my country. God bless America.